how your spiritual journey has changed with Maharaj.
Uh,
He's given the an email for you to like write a little thing if you wanted to.
oh,
And
okay.
I think it's ultimatetruth@gmail.com. I
Okay.
believe that's the correct thing, but I'll check and email everybody if that's not it.
Okay.
But if you want to, it'll be anonymous, but you know, in the book, it's going to be the USA visits combined with the Nashik. Basically, those two PDFs that I sent out, it's all going to be combined into one book. And it's like by sections, sort of the way that listing was with Nisargadatta's material.
So it's called ultimatetruth.com?
Yes. No. Ultimatetruth@gmail.com. Like it's an email that you're sending.
Okay.
But let me actually
Gmail.com.
hold on for 1 second. Let's see.
I am still gonna have to.
Hey, Keith.
Hello.
Yeah, John's just talking about this ultimatetruth@gmail.com. Or you can write something that tells about your spiritual journey after having met.
Yeah, with Maharaj. The book is coming out soon, and they're asking if you want to, and I will find it here on the WhatsApp feed we have. Here we go, and it says, I'll just read it. And if we could turn on we are recording. Good, because I wanted to read it for the recording so that other people can hear this too.
Yeah, well, that's good.
It says, Dear Guru brothers and sisters, as you may know, a new book of Maharaj, Ultimate Truth, is on its way. The book contains talks of Maharaj in Nashik and in the USA. Our dear Maharaj says that it would be very good if the book also included the spiritual experience of devotees. It will help to enlighten a number of seekers all over the world. All of you are realized devotees, says Maharaj. That's why it's in quotes. If you feel inclined to share something about the way your spiritual life unfolded and transformed in contact with Maharaj's teaching, please send a text as soon as possible and before the 15th of August to the following address: sharing ultimate truth@gmail.com. The selection of sharings will appear anonymously in the book. Jai Sadhguru.
Oh, okay. Anonymous.
Yes. So in other words, like you won't have, Kathleen, this is Kathleen M's experience from Maryland or something like that. It'll just be the experiences, because of course, anonymity is like profound because it's the one self doing all this stuff. So it's just showing, and it's basically so that when people pick up this book and they read and they say, oh, these people are having, because even like a lot of the people that listen to our videos are saying, these are profound teachings, and we're so happy that we found them, because we're in this kind of inner network circle now with Maharaj, but there are many seekers that haven't yet come to this discovery.
Right.
So if you tell your story of how meeting Maharaj and let me just give that email address again so people don't have to rewind if they're listening at home. Let's see again. Oh, now I lost it. Shoot.
Sharing ultimate truth.
Exactly. Sharingultimatetruth@gmail.com. Okay. And that's enough of the plug of the book.
And the book is coming out when?
I don't know. But if they're gathering stuff by August 15th, then seemingly it would be soon.
Okay.
And I know they've been working on it for a while. Now they're just kind of giving the finishing touches of this, sharing ultimate truth of different people's spiritual experiences.
Uh-huh.
Well, they wouldn't want mine in there because it doesn't fit the dogmatic theme or whatever.
Well, I mean, if you haven't met Maharaj and haven't taken mantra and such, then there's not a lot to share. You've listened to the videos and you've seen some things, but you haven't actually like participated fully in the with Maharaj, basically.
Yeah.
Meeting him and getting the the mantra.
Yeah, and the mantra, and being in the presence of Maharaj in the physical way.
Yeah, because even if you don't, or if you have trouble understanding him, there's still that energy of the Satguru.
Absolutely.
Well, I have met him and gotten the mantra, but I can't say I've been very disciplined, but it still seems to be working anyway.
I hear shift in you.
Yeah.
Over the time that you've been sharing with us.
I definitely feel it.
I see it. I hear it.
Yeah. No, you could share, Keith.
Yeah, I know, but
well, you don't have to.
but if I start thinking about it, I'll think, oh, well, I didn't do it right,
Oh, that's just your
mind likes to judge. Mind you that way.
Trisha's good at laughing at the mind, so.
Yeah, but when I look at the crap that mind comes up with when it's judging, it's really so bizarre.
Oh yeah. I certainly don't take it personally.
Really bizarre.
I certainly don't take any of that personally.
Yeah, or seriously.
Yeah, right, exactly.
It's just going on. It's like a radio station. I remember my former teacher used to say, well, it's just a radio station. And,
although I can tend to take it personally, but that's the joke.
That's right. Yeah. If you get, as John says, take the touch.
Yeah, right.
What I realized for me is the mind judging, goes all the way back to when I was a little kid and I thought, I needed to judge to keep myself safe in a family situation, and, really still going on. It's just absurd.
I've always noticed a long time ago that in my youth, it was my tendency to say, I know. It's like a kid. I think all kids do that. We say, I know. And that gets, I think that's sort of how separation gets ingrained in us. Because it's just a limited thing that It's not like, but the mind generalizes that and thinks that it knows. And then ownership gets built around that.
And then you believe that you know.
Yeah, right. then you start to own what's right, what's right. Your opinions are more valuable, and then you become better than others. And
that's a rabbit hole.
Okay, so John, when did your mind just drop?
When Maharaj put his hand on my head.
He wiped out your mind?
Something, and even I sent a bunch of stuff on the ashram feed today because this is like the 3-year kind of spiritual anniversary of erasing myself, so to speak. But yeah, when Maharaj put his hand on my head and said the mantra in my ear, something went. Ooh.
But you were at the ashram when
I was at the ashram, and I was looking at Nisargadatta Maharaj and the eye-to-eye thing and the deep presence, and Maharaj then started walking around, and I began mantra, and then that's like I said, I started to just keep mantra, and I went back out. Some other people went in to take mantra. I went back to my room, and I was just focused, mantra. And then that's when I got up from the bed and walked out and had my beard shaved, my hair cut, took off the Rudraksh beads. It was just a pow.
See, my mind didn't stop. But I wasn't ready. You know what I'm saying? I just came to satsang kind of thing. It wasn't like being at the ashram and building up to it and being ready and, that kind of. It's more intensity. You knew where you were coming from, and you were coming specifically to him, where I was just coming, in off the street.
Right. No, my journey was definitely, it began with AA and doing the steps like I was talking about and having that spiritual awakening. and feeling that sense of presence, and then surrendering to that presence as this power greater than myself, and allowing it to guide me into this, don't do this anymore, do this. And I could start to be guided by this. They talk about in the Bible being guided by the Holy Spirit. The Holy Spirit entered and I submitted. And then this presence wound up bringing me to Maharaj in person, where I surrendered to it. But on the plane, and you can see from my journal that I was writing, I was absolutely in the mode of, I'm coming to India to meet this presence. I felt it. I've been obeying it. I am completely surrendered to it. And now, just for mind's sake, because there's still the idea that I'm a separate identity experiencing this presence, just for mind's sake, I'm going to India to surrender to that presence in human form, for my mind to say, it's not a joke. This is for real. This presence that you felt is now here, and in form, speaking to you formlessly, allowing you to know it's finished for you. That's it. And then the rest of it was just the physical manifestation of cutting the hair and all that. Going through the trials was, the food poisoning. And see, when we talk about our mind stopping, the mind stopped for a moment, and then this mantra began to come in, so that it was like, okay, for instance, if there's a river, and I just talked about this in a meditation class last night, if there's a river with sludge, and the sludge is very, 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 very deep and thick, no sun is coming in, and this mantra then starts to slowly erase this sludge, so that then you see the sun is shining through, and it's pure. So everything is seen. It's pure, clean, crystal clear. So when a thought or something was to enter, it would be noticed right away. And mantra would then be initiated to keep brushing this thought away, and brushing away, and brushing away. So that then when Selfless Self turned up the heat, and there was food poisoning, and there was a lot of trauma to the body, and barfing, and all this just terrible stuff, going through all kinds of stuff, going to the India hospital and all of that, and yet still mantra. See, I had complete faith and trust in the Master, because I'd met the Master before I met the Master in a body form, and I just surrendered. And that's why, if you want to say something, the reason I return to my natural state, where I remain and have remained for, now I look at the calendar, 3 calendar years, I have been in this natural state. And also when Maharaj came to America, that also powerfully reinforced, because it was presence to presence to presence to presence, and that flow of communication was happening. But it's mantra. It's just remaining with my selfless self. When Maharaj put his hand on my head, that door opened, and I wanted that door. I dove through that door. Like I said, because of mantra in that moment, all the sludge was clean and clear. So when a thought started to enter, mantra, and it would just wipe it away. And then eventually it was remaining in that natural spontaneous conviction prior to any thoughts arising, prior to any mind movement, because you're so far removed. You know yourself formlessly, so all these activities are seen as just the instrument of mind, ego, intellect, and moving about in a body. It just exploded. Even to the point of when we were driving back at nighttime and it started to rain, I told you about the cab experience. Again, mind could have come, and mantra, mantra, mantra. When I went into the gold shop, because years ago, I had gold necklaces and gold bracelets and diamond rings and all kinds of nonsense. And when I was in India and that gold was there, all of that pressure of, wow, I want this gold, I want this gold. And I did get kind of, but I mantra. We left the store. Then I came back to the store later with another devotee, completely in that mantra state, and the gold no longer affected me. I was no longer seeing the gold as something I wanted. So all of these things, and it's happening in your own experience. You just have to remain and not say, oh, I was okay, and then this thought came in and I went away with it. No, remain. to this day, my sense of self is sitting in that chair in the ashram and never, it's like you see in the movies how somebody dies and then their little soul goes and starts walking around and stuff. My body is sitting in that chair. My body sensation, my body knowledge, all of these things are sitting in that chair, staring at Nisargadatta Maharaj while Ramakant Maharaj has his hand on my head. And then mantra is just listened to. You know, you see yourself, you know yourself in a real sense. And like we talked about before, then you're prior to any ideas arising. And if before thought or words can even arise, you just remain. And when there's a stirring, you remain with yourself. And even if that stirring appears, it's not with you because you're remaining here. It's just appearing on your spontaneous presence. And some speaking and listening is occurring. But that's it. And you create this in your experience every moment. That's why Maharaj says every moment is very, very, very precious. To remain with yourself, not to believe. See, the world is it's just a passing illusory thing. You're forever. Whether this body is or is not, you know you are. Once you contact yourself in that way and remain there, then like we talked about before, you know, we say like, okay, chakras or Reiki or some kind of thing, that some concept, but you're before the concept is arising. There's nothing to present this concept to, and it just fades in the air. There's no interest. There's no anything. I could be around people and they can say, oh, you know, I'm really doing this chakra system. It's a new thing. And, you know, I'm aligning my chakras, and I can be listening, but it's not, I'm not taking any touch. I'm not taking any impression. It's the same as if I was watching somebody on late night TV talk about chakra. And that could be a friend of mine that's speaking about this, but I don't get involved with it. I don't take the touch. And I don't have to sit there and try to think. See, that's another thing too. The mantra, you know, this is the lineage mantra. You know, 3 years ago, August 6th of 2015, the Inchagiri Navnath Sampradaya mantra, and this is another cool thing too that I had written in my journal about. I traveled to India. At the time I was traveling, it was the Kumbh Mela, and it was like every 7 years it comes to Nashik. And this was like the 21st year or something like this. And like 50 million saints and sadhus, maybe not that many, or maybe more, I don't know. It's like the largest peaceful gathering, supposedly, according to the Guinness Book of World Records. But in Nashik, this Kumbh Mela was happening. And I, on the plane even, was like, wow, you know, it's like all the stars are aligning, Kumbh Mela, all the saints and sadhus, all that energy, praising God and worshiping the selfless self, and then to get the mantra from Maharaj. But Maharaj, when I came in there, that was a concept that I had. He smashed that quickly by looking at the people and saying, there's those Kumbh Mela guys. Just discarded it. And had I not had complete faith and trust in the master, I might have said, well, but Kumbh Mela, that's got to be something, you know, there's spiritual energy there. But I'm there to lose all concepts, not to build more concepts. And then to tell everyone, oh, I went to Kumbh Mela and I bathed in the river Ganges and all this. I don't know, not river Ganges, whatever the Nashik River is. But no, Maharaj just dismissed it. He's like, oh, there's all those guys for the Kumbh Mela. And I asked him, I said, but Kumbh Mela is a pretty thing. He's like, it's not for you. This is, you know,
yeah,
not for you.
Like a spiritual show.
Exactly. I came here to undress myself, to take off this body, this skin, this body knowledge, the belief that I'm a separate entity. I came there to remove that. Basically, I came there to be killed, if you want to talk about it in like kind of weird terms. I came there to remove myself, not to add a single thing.
Yeah.
And even the food poisoning was really removing, you know, and yet remaining with my selfless self.
Mm.
Have you ever known anybody that had trouble with like extreme spiritual materialism, where they got caught up in believing they were powerful or something in themselves?
Again, those are concepts and there aren't others. And I took Maharaja's word that anybody else's spiritual experience means absolutely nothing to me. As a matter of fact, people can say that Jesus Christ or Krishna or Buddha appeared before them, and it just appeared on spontaneous presence. So, remaining with your selfless self, speaking from that place, forget about all the spiritual experiences. Like Maharaj says, good experiences, bad experiences. Many people say that mantra causes all these thoughts to stir. And okay, so?
Well, he is going to include some spiritual experiences of devotees in the book, so they're good.
Yes, for seekers.
Yeah.
For seekers who are still seeking experience. You understand? Because even in you know, before Maharaj and all that, like I said, I was coming to Kumbh Mela. Why? Because I wanted to be involved in that spiritual atmosphere, because I didn't yet know myself that all of that was projected on my spontaneous presence and meant nothing. To me, there was a concept that it meant something. So to the readers of the book who are seeking a spiritual experience, they will want to read other spiritual experiences and see the selfless self will recognize in the projection the genuine, yes, I must go. I must have what this is talking. I must have. Just like when I Am That came out, so many seekers from all over the world came and they said, "Listen, I had no idea who you were, but I picked up your book, and it was like that book like drugged me to be with you."
Hmm.
It's the same thing. It's all the selfless self. It's just different various conditioning that the selfless self is perceiving it's through in the body that it believes it's using at the time, in the moment, that it believes is occupying the space that you are. And that's why it's anonymous too, because it would definitely not do good for different various spiritual seekers to say, I was doing mantra and Nisargadatta Maharaj appeared before me and guided me and did all this kind of stuff, and they write it in there and then it says so-and-so and so-and-so. And then for people to say, oh, you're so-and-so and so-and-so that had this spiritual experience. You don't want that.
Yeah.
Build up your spiritual ego.
Exactly. Exactly. Start to feel that I'm special and different, that's a problem. I'm nothing. I like to remain nothing. And when, for God, something is starting to stir that I might be something, I mantra and remain with the nothing. I hold on to the nothing with everything.
You don't want to become somebody else.
No, I don't want anything. I'm nothing. I know I'm nothing because I'm nothing. I can look at myself speaking right now and know I'm nothing. There is nothing here. There's this, using this instrument, some speaking is occurring and some listening is occurring, but it's all one. There's no difference at all.
When they say no thing.
There's nothing. Yeah, you are no thing, nothing, nothing, nothing. Because here in this experience, there's no turning of thoughts and mind and intellect and trying to discern this or discern that or trying to, it's just all just, it's like, I don't even need to be here. Like, it's just flowing.
No.
I'm really hot right now though, because my AC is in my bedroom and in here I just have the fan, so I see myself getting red and such. So I feel that.
Not you, but the body.
Yeah, but that's feeling. It's not mind stuff.
Exactly. But I'm definitely feeling the touch of there's a body here because it's getting warm and I'm sweating. But yet, it's just like there was an experience one time of walking in the rain and feeling like I'm not getting wet. Like I can feel the rain bouncing on my head, but the me that I am is not getting wet. It's like this very deep sensation of I'm not getting wet. Like as if this body was just the umbrella type thing. You feel it hitting your head, but there's this sensation of
the umbrella of your body was getting wet.
Exactly. It's like the sensation
cool.
that there's inside, you're inside and not getting touched by all of this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But see, even that is an experience that you relate to and you say, oh, this is my experience and such and such. But, you know, it's just, and they're all progressive steps. And that's why, you know, Siddharameshwar Maharaj talks about all the time, when you remain with yourself, the self, it's going to explode, these siddhas, these powers or whatever. But it's nonsense because it's in a dream. And are you going to give up yourself? And in order to use a siddha, you have to be a somebody in the dream using a siddha, which means you've separated from yourself and you can get lost again in the dream, not remaining with yourself and starting to believe that, wow, look at these powers. And even Ramakant Maharaj says, everything he says, everything he speaks, it's his master speaking through him. The master is speaking through this body form, there's nothing here. There's nothing. And there's nothing, no trying to convey, it's just, there's some speaking. And that's the key. It's like Maharaj says, voice box, that's it. And complete just, if any miracles happen or things happen or, you know, you start to go through your day and you see like the synchronicity is just blowing your mind. Like everything is absolutely falling into place perfectly. And then again, thank you, Master. Thank you, Master. Keeping the ego away.
Yeah.
Because the last thing you want to do is to say, wow, this spiritual stuff, I can see how it is improving my life dramatically. But
Yeah. And let me hang out a shingle and I can start charging to tell people how to do it.
Exactly. That's the grossest sign that you may have touched yourself, but you fell back into the ditch very quickly. Because to think that that you're charging your own self and that the selfless self that you are is going to, yeah.
Yeah, it's another, it's a gig.
It couldn't be. You could not act from a place of genuineness because money doesn't make sense and the others doesn't make sense and the teaching doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
It's not like that.
Yeah, it's part of the dream that there's a teacher and a devotee, you know, that's kind of a game too.
Exactly.
Yeah. Hmm.
What we need is a mind roast. We can all
Mind
throw
roast?
our minds in.
You have when you went into that room with Maharaj and he put Nisargadatta Maharaj's picture there and placed his hand on your head and whispered the mantra. You roasted your mind. Think of it like a flamethrower that went in your ear and just cooked your mind. Your mind was cooked the second he put his hand on your head.
Yeah,
But
wake
you're
up.
trying to keep it alive with the CPR of concepts.
Yeah. Sometimes it takes a while to realize that, though. You know, it's like, oh, okay, I see that this particular thing, you know, came, and yet, you know, how is it that I'm falling back into, you know, these other patterns? And then you wake up, and it's like, okay, that was a dream, and then, you know, you come back to yourself.
Yeah, there's no trust and faith in the master.
Yeah.
You know that and I guess truly this experience happened very beautifully because that presence was felt before going to the presence that was in the form of Sri Ramakant Maharaj. So when Sri Ramakant Maharaj was there, I knew without a shadow of a doubt, this is God.
Yeah.
And God is now saying, You never were. Just come back to yourself.
Right.
And that's it. And if you have that, I mean, that's the conviction. It's like, okay, Maharaj, you know, this spiritual lineage, and each one of these guys did this. As when I say these guys, these Sadhguru has worked through each one of these body forms, and now he's passed to you. It's finished. It's like you've won the golden lottery, and they say, okay, you have won the lottery. Now you say, well, how does that work? When do I collect my lottery? When is that going to happen? You know, you're finished. You that you are, that formlessness was hit. Boom. Hey, you're formless. Don't believe yourself to be this form. Okay. When mind starts to say, no, 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 you're the form. No, 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 I'm form. No, 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 no. Thank you. I have this mantra. I erase you. I keep brushing. And like I said, boom, all the sludge is gone. It's free and clear. Now you can see when a thought comes in. You're no longer in that habitual pattern of thinking, just allowing it to go without being aware of the thoughts and the thought processes and all the different kind of, what do you call it? The thought spinning of like this concept, and it just keeps going around and around.
Momentum. I call it momentum.
Yeah, now you've broken free of the momentum of thinking. It's free and clear. Now when a thought starts to come in, mantra, whoop, gone. Mantra, whoop, gone. And eventually then you remain with yourself, and maybe thoughts are there or not, but your attention is so far removed. Eventually you'll notice, and see, that's the thing too, when you notice, like if you're walking down the street, and this is a progressive step, but it's still a little bit not so good, walking down the street and noticing, wow, I have no feeling of body and I don't see any thoughts running through my mind. But now I have a thought running through my mind that I have no body feeling, and I have these thoughts running through.
Yeah.
So don't do that. Remain prior to that. When you start to see that, oh, wow, I'm recognizing that I don't feel any body pressure. There's no body knowledge, and there's not a single thought. No. Mantra. Remain with myself and self. And see the selfless self. You invite the attention of the invisible listener that these thoughts are just appearing. They're coming and going. You don't have to go out there and buy into them. You don't have to get pulled into the illusion. Remain with yourself. Be with you always. Maharaj says that so many times. Be with you always. You are ultimate truth. Nothing in back of you. When you recede, there's nothing left to recede. You are the source of all that thing.
Well, just as it helps us to listen to you and sort of sort things out and sort of see how your experience kind of happens within us also. I still have this, I'm seeing more now that the considering others to actually be others is sort of all part of the game, but I can't help, I'm still have remnants, or I still have this desire. I don't know if maybe it's there's nothing wrong with it, but it might be a limiting factor to that might fall away or whatever. But I want to help others that don't that aren't experiencing the inner freedom that I am to get a taste of it, such as my mother, who's 91 and probably won't live more than another year, or maybe 2 years. But I mean, she's starting to get cancer and stuff. But I would like to. She's one of the others that I would like to possibly. I talked to her about this stuff. I tell her that I'm getting, and she's really happy for me that I'm, and she sees that it's genuine. And she does listen to some of my communications that are trying to communicate the experience or whatever. And So
Remember, Maharaj says your spiritual life and your family life are totally different. Your spiritual life is remaining with your selfless self. The body has the relations. You, the selfless self, are all those others. So, but you don't even have to really need to say that. You just need to remain with your selfless self. I would say too, you know, I was thinking as you were talking that, are you stalking selfless self? You know how you see in the TV shows a stalker, they're constantly doing, they're looking, what are you doing now? What is this? What is that? What is that? Are you stalking selfless self? Meaning, in the morning when you wake up, are you feeling that I am without anything? That I without anything. In the first thing in the morning, you're diving in. Okay, that's the I without anything. Now, how long is that going to stay? I'm just going to remain with my selfless self. I'm trying not to give myself away. And I'm stalking my selfless self. So I have pictures of all the masters that first thing in the morning, I'm going to wake up and I'm going to bow to all the masters. Then I'm stalking my selfless self. Maharaj says that when I wake up in the morning, I should do Kakadarate Bhajan. Put my headphones on and listen to Kakadarate. Then I go about my day. Maybe I read some Nisargadatta, I am that, or I read from Selfless Self or something like that. Then I go to work and I do my work, but I'm also constantly stalking selfless self. I want to remain with myself. When my boss says something is there, I respond, but I don't let it be taken away. I try to remain with myself. I remain with myself. When I see thoughts are getting too stirred or I start getting stressed, I mantra. Then it becomes lunchtime. Now I want to do afternoon bhajans because I'm stalking my selfless self. They're only 20 minutes. So I put my headphones on and eat lunch or do something while I'm listening to bhajans of afternoon bhajans. Now I'm back to work and I'm focusing only on what's right here, right in the moment. I'm stalking selfless self. I do not want selfless self to get away. If I even have a glimpse, I want to hold on to selfless self. I want to know where it is all the time. I want to keep constantly keeping in touch with selfless self. I want to stalk selfless self. Now it's time for me to leave work. I put my headphones on and I'm listening to the evening bhajans. That's about an hour, but I listen to those on my commute. And maybe while I'm listening to the bhajans in the headphones, I might be reading some more I am that, or some whatever Kindle thing that I may have. I probably have 5 or 6 different lineage texts that I flip through and read one chapter and then flip to another one. I'm stalking selfless self. Then I come home, and while I'm fixing dinner, I'm mantra and I'm stalking. I want to make sure that I keep selfless self in my sight, in my presence at all times. And anytime selfless self gets away, I stalk selfless self.
I wouldn't say I'm doing that to maybe to some degree, but that I could see that would be like the effects of dogmatism would drive somebody to be like that. But mine's more of I get glimpses in the morning of, I guess what you could call like something that I can't define, selfless self, and then but I do have a different type of maybe stalking in the sense that I want to I want to use reason to break down reason. I want to get it. I want to know how the mind works, and so that it helps me when I see how the mind works. It does help me recognize it, and it just loosens up the whole thing to where it loses its effect when I see how it's drawing me in. It's like so I'm using.
You're enjoying playing with salt dolls.
I'm using observation to free me.
Yes, you're enjoying playing with salt dolls in the ocean. The salt dolls are very, very interesting, and they can be looked at, and then as soon as you dive in the ocean, they disappear because they never were. So sitting there trying to figure out the inner workings of the mind is playing with salt dolls in the ocean. I'm not trying to be insulting. I'm trying to be real.
Right.
And in stalking selfless self, in the evening time, bowing to all of the masters and mantraing yourself to sleep, stalking selfless self. Forget about your own ideas. I mean, you can. You can have your own ideas and beliefs and never, ever, 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 ever be without ideas and beliefs.
But I'm listening to you, and you explain this stuff, and it helps me to see through it, and that's what I'm trying. I'm helping myself also see through it by exposing the limits for what they are. I'm sort of
There
like
are
doing.
limits.
I'm
You're
doing this.
limitless until you believe you have limits. I'm sorry, but I have to. And again, I know Maharaj would be like, okay, you know what? You're enjoying this, and you enjoy. Because truly, they say 1 in 10 million will stalk selfless self. You know, the advice is given by master. He tells you do this, but you have your own ideas. It's okay. I just said stalk selfless self. 1 in 10 million will stalk selfless self, remain with their selfless self, and explode. And that'll be that. Because playing with the mind, ego, intellect, using the mind, ego, intellect, I think Ramana Maharshi talks about hiring the thief to catch the thief.
So
And I'm hammering you only because when I hear that you say, I want to get free of this concept and this and this and this, what gets free of concepts without adding additional concepts is mantra. Remaining with your selfless self destroys the idea of mind, ego, intellect because you are prior to all of that. There's no need to figure out the mind because the mind disappears as soon as you know yourself in a real sense. Attachment disappears as soon as you know yourself in a real sense without having to try and figure out why you are detached or the levels of detachment or what things you are detached from and what things you are not detached from. Once you know yourself in a real sense, detachment becomes another concept and it's blown away. It doesn't even make sense.
So you're saying it's good to stalk stuff, or are you pointing?
Stalk your selfless self. Be with you always. Do not allow yourself to get away. And I just said how you do that. Bhajan. These bhajans are very, very, very important. They shake, they vibrate. They make the selfless self dance inside the body until you shake yourself out of this idea that you're in a body. You start to experience yourself in the expansion, and it's not expansion. It's just that the body knowledge, the body pressure is dissolving, so you feel you're expanding, but you don't expand or contract. Just the concepts of the body are being released, and Bhajan helps to do this. Bowing to the masters keeps that ego in check, so it doesn't try to become a spiritual master or spiritual teacher. You're bowing to the master. I am nothing without you, selfless self. I worship that selfless self, that I am. And all worship is coming to selfless self. So, like the picture of Maharaj, in my room, I bow to each master every night with Rajadiraj Sakuna Sri Gulagam Maharaj Ki Jai, Rajadiraj Sakuna Sri Balseb Maharaj Ki Jai, Rajadiraj Sakuna Sri Siddhameshwar Maharaj Ki Jai, Rajadiraj Sakuna Sri Nisargadatta Maharaj Ki Jai, Rajadiraj Sakuna Sri Ramakant Maharaj Ki Jai. And then lay down. Now reading Nectar of Immortality, one chapter of that while listening to mantra, sitting, listening to mantra, and the next thing I know, it's daytime and I'm waking, and that's just whoosh, just going. Scenes passing before. Stalking selfless self. Don't let it get away. And you can go to the Bhagavad Gita and says the greatest thing is devotion after liberation. Devotion is key. If you're not devoted, seriously, and see, I can tell you in this experience of mine, I was a true devotee at the airport when I was surrendering to Maharaj before meeting him in body form. Surrendered completely to the presence. And you need that. If you're going to be dry, then it's dry spiritual knowledge, and you can talk about it all day long, and on your deathbed, you will be trying desperately to stalk selfless self. Or you know yourself in a real sense, and it'll be breath in, breath out, finished. observing the breath leaving, because the one that snapped to the body is still there because it was there to attach to the body. And when the detachment to the body happens, there's a noticing of that while using body form, and then out. So you absolutely know that the presence that you are, that you felt using body form, as it's leaving the body, there will be the experience of that you are. And there's the knowing of this, that you never were born and you're never going to die. And in that split second, absolute peace. Or there will be, okay, I'm not dying. I have to sit here. I have to hold these thoughts. I'm not dying. I'm not dying. I think there was actually a very funny joke about the guy who named his sons Krishna.
Oh, yes.
Yes, if you would like to tell.
Yeah, he did all three sons, Krishna, and all his sons had three sons, and he ran this business. And the whole idea was that when he named the sons this, so that that's what he would think about at the end. But then he was on his deathbed, and all three sons showed up at the deathbed, and he goes, "What happened to the business?" And then he died.
Yep.
So that's what he thought about instead of the.
And that's when you try to figure out the mind. You can't figure out the mind because the mind, that's the mind's game. Try to figure me out. Try to look for the loopholes. But selfless self is literally stepping away from the mind. Wait a minute, I was giving power to this mind. I don't need to look at it, and it definitely has nothing to do with me. This mind appeared with body along with mind, ego, intellect, and I'm not that. I'm not trying to harm you. It's because I'm listening to what you're saying, and I know.
I see your point, and I do get a sense of how I am limiting myself with that, but also I also see it helping me in at least to some degree also. So it's kind of
But the helping in some degree will continue to help in some degree to lesser and lesser or more and more degrees. But knowing yourself in a real sense, no degrees.
Right.
No body, no experience, no experiencer, no mind, no ego, no intellect, no world, no steps, no nothing.
What could be more beautiful than that?
Exactly. The only concept that you need to use to remove concepts is mantra. And mantra removes concepts without adding any additional concepts.
Is that the thorn that removes the other thorns?
And then you throw both thorns away.
Yeah.
But I'll have to wear it out,
That's again, and that's your thing. Like Maharaj says about the little lion that was raised by goats and sheep, and it was running away from wolves and crying that, "Oh, don't hurt me," and then a lion came up. And the lion is like, the little lion is like, "Oh my God, don't hurt me, don't hurt me, don't hurt me. You're a lion, I'm a sheep." And he's like, no, you're not a sheep. So like Maharaj says, the lion, Maharaj, takes you to the river, and you see the reflection. You see the reflection of selfless self, the reflection in the projection, the recognition in the projection that this I am. You're looking into the reflection, and you're seeing that this lion, you have a mane like this lion. You have the teeth like this lion. You have shoulders like this lion and back. Now, you could sit there and say, well, the shoulders are not quite as rounded as your shoulders. My teeth are not quite as rounded as these teeth. Maybe I can believe I'm a lion, but I'm going to go back with the goats and sheep just for a little while longer, because if I was to be a lion right now, it would be too shocking and too disturbing for my life. I have a really good life as a goat and a sheep. I have goat and sheep friends. If I was a lion, my goat and sheep friends, how would I hang out with them? They would be terrified of me. My whole life would change. Yes, I see that we're very similar. You're showing me that I am a lion, but I'm not ready to grasp that fact yet. I think I want to try to, even though now I know I'm a lion, I want to try to just pretend I'm a goat and a sheep a little bit longer. If I don't come to the lake and I see my reflection, I'll forget I'm a lion and I'll go back to remembering I'm a goat and a sheep.
Guess it's a matter of a somewhat limited sense of being or an unlimited sense of being.
Yep, you've been told you're a lion. If you still want to be a goat and sheep, that's cool. The lion is not affected. The lion did its job. It came and it saw this poor lion jumping around with goats and sheep and said, hey, you're not a goat and sheep. You're actually a lion like me. If you want to keep pretending to be a goat and sheep, that's cool. And you have your goat and sheep problems when you're a lion. You'll be eating grass and not really liking it. There'll be something a little off with the eating grass. But you don't know, what does a lion eat? See, I have no experience of being a lion. It's so much easier to be a goat or a sheep. God, I almost wish I didn't even know I was a lion, because now there's so much pressure. I still want to be my goat and sheep life, but now I'm a lion. I don't know how to act like a lion. How does a lion act? You've always been the lion.
And the other goat and sheep are much tastier than the.
Than the grass, absolutely. All your little goat and sheep buddies would make a very nice first meal.
They might not like it though.
But no, seriously, all these stories, that's why Maharaj says the stories are to impress. This story impresses the reality. You're a lion, but you say, I'm not ready to be a lion. Well, but that doesn't matter, you understand, because you're a lion. It doesn't matter whether you're like, I'm terrified of being a lion, but you're a lion. Behave like a lion, because that's what you are. Behave like the selfless self in the very next moment. And I don't mean I'm a king and everyone gets out of my way. No, selfless self is everyone and everything. Your essence is in all forms in everything.
Well, it's humble too, very humble.
Of course. Automatically. My presence is in every being. How can I be angry with somebody else? That's myself. My presence is in every being. I have no control over what happens around me at all. Nothing. The only thing I can really do is just be here now in this moment, remaining with my selfless self and activating the body as an instrument, and then leaving the instrument once the activity is not needed. Be bold, have courage. Live like a lion, live like a Brahmin, live like the master. It's finished. Stalk selfless self. I like that actually. Stalk selfless self.
At first I was thinking of it in the negative connotations, but I guess, I was looking.
Yeah, he was redefining stalking.
Yeah, not like, crazy goofy stuff, but stalk selfless self. You want to know where selfless self is all the time. You want to constantly be in touch.
That's because of the sincere earnestness that, that we have, I guess.
And believe me, the key to that is once the wheel of earnestness begins to turn, selfless self, as Master has said, Sri Ramakant Maharaj says, take one step and I take the next step, and then the next step, and the next step, and the next step. When that stalking devotion, I want to know where selfless self is. I want to be in touch with selfless self all the time. I don't want to give selfless self away for anything. then the momentum builds for your selfless self. Every moment is very, very precious. You remain with your selfless self. Then the scenes will come and go. But see, that's the cool thing. Like I experienced in India, scenes come and go. Mantra, I told you the one time I was mantra and I wound up 10 kilometers away from the ashram, and I walked all over India. Even Maharaj was not too, he was like, don't do that because you could get lost and it's very not good. I took a rickshaw back, but I was just, I'm walking through these areas and there's like people living in the ground and all this, and I'm just walking and mantra. There's no idea that I'm too far away from the ashram or what this is or that there should be some fear or how late it's getting or how long I've been away. None of that. Just mantra with selfless self. Stalking selfless self, not allowing anything to separate. It sounds fanatical, but it is almost like you need to be this way. Nisargadatta Maharaj was this way. To hear Ramakant Maharaj talk, Balseb Maharaj stayed in a well for like 10 hours a day. Actually tied his hair so that if he was while meditating, his head went like this, boom, it would snap back in. Does that sound earnest? Nisargadatta Maharaj says that once Siddharameshwara Maharaj said, "You are that," he contemplated on it every free moment. Not occasionally, not every so often. Every free moment he wanted to stalk his selfless self. Thus, selfless self emerged in the form of Sri Ramakant Maharaj, Sri Nisargadatta Maharaj, Sri Siddharameshwara Maharaj, because they stalked selfless self. And as Maharaj says, we couldn't, if it took sitting in a well for 10 hours meditating and trying to remain with your selfless self without any outside thing and without food, without water, and without falling asleep even, I mean, who's going to do that? Well, someone did so that you didn't have to, so that all you'd have to do is stalk selfless self and remain with yourself in every moment. So be grateful and bow in devotion to Balseb Maharaj, who spent 10 hours in a well every day, so that he could meet Siddharameshwara Maharaj, and Siddharameshwara Maharaj could say, you know what, 10 hours a day, it's not needed. 3 hours a day with bhajans 3 times a day, and impressing this knowledge, that's what's needed. And Nisargadatta Maharaj says, remaining with that I am, that sense of presence, and just diving into it, not allowing the attention to go out, always being in there. And that's what's needed. And Sri Ramakant Maharaj says, keep mantra running to brush away all the illusory layers so that you can remain with your selfless self. It's 8:14.
All right. Thank you, John.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Enjoy your evening.